Hello and welcome to the Grifter's Game Room. I'm Keith Cobb, also known as the Grifter. Today I'll be talking about roulette, its history, and ways that people have cheated on both sides of the table. Roulette itself was invented in 1655 by Blaise Pascal, the famed mathematician. Whether you remember it or not, you probably studied Pascal's triangle in high school. There's also a unit of atmospheric pressure and a computer programming language named after Pascal. Now, he developed the game in an attempt to make a perpetual motion machine. Although it failed in that respect, it did produce a fairly effective early random number generator. Its gambling applications were spotted early on, and the roulette wheel itself went little changed for the first 200 years of its existence from Pascal's original design. The name roulette is a French word meaning little wheel. Now, the first time that the roulette was ever played in a casino was at the Paris Royal Palace Casino in 1796. Their wheel was numbered 1 through 28, had a 0 and double zero pocket on it. The big difference between that wheel and modern wheels is that the 0 pocket was colored black and the double zero pocket was colored red. This led to some confusion for the players, and so eventually the color green was added to the wheel to represent the house advantage. What's going to be known as European roulette was developed in 1842 by two French brothers, Louis and Francois Blanc. Their wheel had some significant changes from the current wheels. Their wheel was numbered 1 through 36 and only had a single 0 pocket to mark the house advantage. They developed their wheel design in an attempt to compete with the wheels at currently established casinos. At the time, roulette was outlawed in France, so they took their wheel to Hamburg, Germany, where it spread in popularity. In 1861, Prince Charles III of Monaco invited Louis Blanc to Monaco to help establish the very first casino there. This led to Monte Carlo becoming a world-class gambling destination and the mecca for the gambling elite of Europe. According to gambling legend, the Blanc brothers had made a deal with the devil in exchange for all the secrets to roulette. This is supported by the fact that if you add up all of the numbers on the Blanc wheel, 1 to 36, it adds up to 666, the same that's on modern roulette wheels. By the 1800s, roulette had spread all over the world and was very popular throughout Europe and North America. What's come to be known as American roulette is a wheel that has both 0 and double zero pockets on it. Now, it's called this because it's only played in the United States, South America, and the Caribbean. But the double zero pocket, although commonly misreported, was not invented in the United States. It's actually part of the original casino design. Now, cheating at roulette has some very noteworthy examples by both the players and the casinos, and I'd like to give you some of those examples. Some cheating casinos might use electromagnets built into their tables. Now, the ball that is spun is a wooden ball, but the casinos that were cheating would have a steel core inside the wooden ball, so that when the ball was spun, it would be drawn to one of the electromagnets built into the bottom of the wheel. They would have 4 different magnets built into the wheel that could be turned on by a switch by the dealer. He would do this when those portions of the table were not heavily bet. Some people claim that a dealer can control where the ball is going to land by the way that they throw the spin. Now, this is very difficult to prove, and if you have any doubts about this being possible, just wait until after the ball has been spun before you place your bet. Another way that casinos would cheat was they would have a trip pin up inside the upper ball track, so that when the ball was spun, they could flip a tiny switch that would release a spring, making that pin stick out, and would make the ball stop more abruptly during its spin. If it was spinning quickly around and it hit that trip pin, it would make the ball fall into a certain section of the wheel. Now, this would be good if the house knew that that section of the wheel was not heavily bet at the time. Some players have even been known to have tampered with the tables at a casino. They would break into a casino late at night and tamper with the wheel. Things that they might do would they would put spongy materials in some of the pockets on the wheel, so that the ball was more likely to bounce out of those pockets, and sticky materials in some of the others, so that the ball was more likely to stick when it landed in those pockets, making their odds a little bit better. There's a famous song about the night that Joseph Jaeger broke the bank at Monte Carlo. Although he did win big, you can't actually break the bank because they make big money all year round. What actually happened was that in 1873, Joseph hired a crew of men to record the spin outcomes of the wheels at the casino, in one of the casinos at Monte Carlo. They determined that one of the wheels landed on one number much more often than any other, and Joseph used this information to win himself $450,000. That was a great deal of money in 1874. Eventually, the casino caught on to what he was doing and adjusted the wheel. Another noteworthy example is in 2004, 2 men and 1 woman took the Ritz-Carlton in England for £1.3 million over 2 nights. They did this using a laser scanner built into their cell phone. What they would do is when the ball was spun, the laser scanner would record where the ball was and where it was again after a few rotations. It would then process this information and determine where, along its graduated declining slope, it would end up at the end of the spin. Now, they had to do this very quickly because the information had to be broadcast from the phone back to a computer in their room, back to their phone, and place the bet before the ball stopped spinning. This was called sector targeting. And the 3 of them were arrested, but were later released, and were actually allowed to keep their money because the judge determined that the laser scanner in the phone did not actually interfere with the path of the ball. Now, this was known as sector targeting. And sector targeting was not a new idea. In the early 1980s, there was a book put out about it, on how to do it using a stopwatch. Casinos combated this by banning stopwatches in the casino. Casinos know that most systems are completely full of it, and actually encourage people to bring their systems and play at their roulette wheels, with advertising like, "The queen of the casino games," another name for roulette, is ideally suited for the system player. In 1982, a casino in England was suffering big losses due to sector targeting. This inspired a wheel designer to redesign the roulette wheel to what he called a low-profile wheel. It had a more inclined ball slope and shallower pockets, along with a few other changes. In 1986, a team took the Golden Nugget in Atlantic City for $3.8 million using sector targeting. At that point, casinos all over the world took notice, and within a year, all of the casinos had switched to the new low-profile wheel. Another common method of cheating is a thing called pass posting. Now, this is where a player would put their chips down on a number after it's already come up on the wheel. The dealers are trained to watch for this move, and it's become even more difficult with the eye in the sky watching everything on the table. This is where something called the Savannah move came into play. With the Savannah move, what happens is the player has a stack of chips with a low denomination on the top, but a high denomination chip of the same color at the bottom of their stack. They would place that slightly off-center on the number that they wanted to bet on. If the number came up a winner, they would announce, "Look at that, I got the big win because I had that high value chip on my bet." Now the Savannah move comes in when that number doesn't hit. What they do then is they would hold a stack of chips that are the same color and switch those for the stack with the high denomination chip on the bottom in its place. If they got caught making the switch, the dealer would just check the eye in the sky, run back the tape, and see that there were 5 red chips there before his hand passed over the table and 5 after. So no harm, no foul. There are ways of increasing your odds at a roulette table that are not cheating. You can bet on tables that have the European wheel, which only has a single zero pocket and not the double zero pocket. You can bet on fairly even bets, which are your red, your black, odd, and even. On a European table, the house has a 2.6 advantage in the game. Also, if you can find a table that has what's called an imprison rule, that's where if the ball is spun and you have bet on red and the ball lands on green, which is 0 or double 0, then the bet rolls over to the next bet. You don't lose the bet, it just rolls over. If it lands on red the next time, you can collect your bet. If it loses, of course, you lose. Now, some casinos don't like you having such low odds. With the in-prison rule, the house advantage on those bets is only 1.35%. Even though the odds are still in their favor, a lot of houses don't like you having such low odds. So they set up their own set of rules, requiring you to bet a certain amount of money on the field, as opposed to just the even bets like the red, black, odd, and even. Some casinos even instruct their dealers to discourage you from playing on those bets, telling you, oh, well, you have to bet a certain amount on the field. You don't even need to worry about those outside bets. Now, they can get away with this because you're playing in their house and you have to play by their rules. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation on roulette. Stick around for a few minutes and I'll show you some ways to win some free drinks. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me at keith@thegrifter.com. Thanks a lot. This one is called Open a Beer Bottle Using a Paper Towel. For this, you want to fold the paper towel diagonally and diagonally again, giving yourself a nice point there. You want to roll that up as tightly as you possibly can, all the way from the tip to the edge. Getting that as tight as you possibly can. When you get to the edge, take the center there and fold it, giving you a nice little edge right there to work with. Grip the bottle tightly around the neck. Catch the napkin in the teeth and there you go. One beer, opened with a paper towel. The idea is to get the pen cap out of the bottle. You want to use a pen cap that has a little bit of a stem on it, like this one, so that it doesn't lay all the way flat in the bottom of the bottle. Now, to get the pen cap out of the bottle without touching the bottle seems like an impossible feat. If you just take a little bit of water, pour it into the bottle, the air trapped inside the pen cap will make it come all the way up to the top. And just a little bit more. Makes it stick up without touching the bottle. Pull the cap on out.